will start our presentation. Again, thank you for joining us. We are so excited for our inaugural Student Optimization Summit today. Um, Again, thanks for joining us for this session, Land Your Next Internship. Um, we really hope you gain some valuable career development today with all the options you have with all the breakout sessions. So with that, let's jump right in. To start us off, I want to introduce you to our team. We are the Experiential Programs team in the University Career Center. Our assistant director is Brianna Hobbs. Again, my name is Aimee Howell. I'm one of the Experiential Programs administrative assistants on the team, and on the call with us today, and you'll also see her in the chat, Elissa Ungerman. She is also an Experiential Programs assistant with me. All right, and so our agenda today, really gonna find out an internship that aligns with your interest and career goals, navigating the internship search, the best methods for applying, the transferable skills, and how to successfully market yourself, and then go over some skills employers are looking for. All right, so why are internships important? Application of education and career exploration. So really apply what you have learned in the classroom and explore, career development, really explore the career field. You gain experience and increase your marketability. You can build your professional network and gain that professional feedback from professionals in the field. Another important one is learn professionalism. Build and expand your resume. This is one of my favorites, actually. Figure out what you like and what you don't like. I've heard a lot of our past interns, you know, do an internship and they're really thinking that's it they want to do and find out they don't. So they go a completely different route. So I think internships are really important in that aspect. All right. So interest and career goals. First step is to identify your interest. What do you find interesting or exciting, or what kind of sparks that light, that interest, gets you excited about learning, or maybe related to your field of study that you have not thought about yet. Explore your skill set. Consider your previous experiences. And then, what skills have you gained from those experiences, whether it be volunteering, your on campus job, a part time job off campus? Um, Make a list of your options based on those findings. Research roles that correlate and use your network. Reach out to those other professionals that you've made contact with on LinkedIn or possibly your network of peers that have successfully done the internship search process, or maybe doing it with you at the same time. Identifying your interest in possible career goals will greatly aid you in choosing the right internship. I think breaking it down like this, really looking at your interest and your skills on a piece of paper. I'm kind of one of those visual learners, and kind of, looking at it visually, I think really puts it in perspective and breaks it down for you. And navigate the search. So know where and when to start. Um, you can start the preparations for this um, as early as freshman year. However, you may not meet basic eligibility requirements until your sophomore year or junior year, depending on your degree plan. Your course load is also a deciding factor on when to start. And if you are unsure, our recommendation is to start early. Most internships hire their candidates as early as 6 months to a year before the actual start date. You'll also want to be aware of any eligibility requirements, as I mentioned before, and upcoming deadlines. It is also good to log your progress as well. Make yourself a checklist and goals to stick to those to help you stay organized in your search. Make sure those goals and that checklist you make sure to choose one that complements your field of study and meets your overall objective of what experience you want to gain. Another very important question to ask yourself is, do I need to take a paid opportunity or can I afford to do an unpaid internship? Ideally, in the lovely world, obviously you'd want a paid internship. Um, and here at the University Career Center, we also agree that we think all internships should be paid. Um, but if you get an unpaid internship, that's okay too. You're in there for the experience ultimately, especially due to COVID. A lot of employers still want to give students that hands-on experience. Um, so really, ask yourself and see how much that's going to be a requirement or a deciding factor in the search. All right, and so finding the right position, know what you want to gain from the experience. Knowing the career you plan to pursue, or at least what field or industry, can be highly beneficial in your internship selection. More often than not, you'll already know what career path interests you, and if you don't, that's okay too. Um, I know a lot of students who switch majors or kind of play around with it, and you have those 4 years to kind of decide. Um, and as I said before, internships will help you narrow that down. So make sure the internships you're deciding between align with your passions and career goals, not necessarily exactly what major you're heading towards. Make sure you'll be passionate about it, or it aligns with what goals you want to accomplish. Is it a set of skills or a specialized experience within a particular job sector that you are exploring? Knowing this and exploring this ensures you'll be able to take that experience gained from the internship and apply it to your future profession. And set some goals for yourself as far as doing research, maybe on different companies or some different job roles. Ask the right questions to yourself. So when assessing the internship postings and job descriptions you're looking at, ask yourself these questions. Why do I want this internship? What skills do I want to learn? Will this help me in my career advancement? Do I need to meet any specific degree requirements? How much time do I want to devote to working at an internship? Or how much time can I? And do I want to work locally or travel somewhere else? Especially with, COVID and vaccinations and the world's kind of opening back up. Those, cross country ones may be available. And then what responsibilities will I have? And I apologize. I am getting over a cold, so I am pausing. I'm pausing to take a drink. Okay, so applying. So number one, keep your resume up to date. Tailor your resume and cover letter to each position you apply for, and think about really who sees that application. Employers like to see your skills showcased on the cover letter as well. They like to see that you researched that particular position, that job description you read, and check the required qualifications to be sure you meet them before applying. Lastly, pay close attention to the application instructions as they may ask you for more documents or projects in addition to the resume and cover letter. The employer may also have you apply, say, on Handshake or directly on their website or even an external site linked with the company. And then methods for applying. Obviously, Handshake is our career services platform. Just to name a few, we have internship postings as well as full time postings that every student can gain access to even after they graduate. As a current student, obviously, you all registered for this event, so you know about Handshake. But Vault. If you're not familiar with Vault, is a resource provided by our office. Again, it's on our resources page on our website, which we can link later. Vault.com provides in-depth intelligence on what is really like to work in an industry, company, or profession, and how to position yourself to land that job or internship. Vault actually provides free access to job and internship search boards, as well as company profiles, and Vault guides. Now, Vault guides cover interview strategies, job search tips, and full length profiles of any of the companies. And job boards such as LinkedIn and Indeed are also great for finding internships. As stated before, straight from the company websites is a good spot as well, and some solely do that. All right, so how to search a job board? Number one, probably advice I would say use the filters. Be sure to use those filters when searching on these, um, as it will help you narrow down what you actually want to see. Complete your profile so it reflects the most up to date information on you. Do your research. Stay focused. Watch for scams. Scams have actually been at an all time high since COVID, unfortunately. So really do some digging if you aren't sure if that position sounds right, or if you have that gut feeling like this just sounds weird or doesn't really, sound professional, or if you have any sort of doubt, I would say do some digging. You can always reach out to us as well. Um, if it does come through your UT Dallas email or Handshake, um, you can also contact the info security office. They monitor all things that come through your student email for scams. Um, you can also set up job alerts on those job boards. So it'll notify you for those opportunities you're interested in or meet your qualifications. You can also save them so you can easily locate them to apply. And lastly, find the right site. As I said, it's probably better to use those more reputable sites, more reputable job boards. Just it kind of, decreases the chances of getting a scam. Mhm. And as I mentioned before, Handshake, we do have internship opportunities posted on there. Um, Also, the Career Resource Library, part-time jobs off campus, resume and cover letters will be posted on there. That's where your Handshake profile is. Also have full-time job listings nationwide. On-campus interviews, normal, like I said, not COVID. Employers can schedule interviews with you in our office through Handshake. We also post, obviously, the career readiness seminars and workshops, which you're in now. That's where we'll post our career expo listings and any employer visits. And then transferable skills. So if you are one of our on-campus student employees, this will really, learn how to leverage and communicate that on-campus experience during your internship by using those marketable skills. Also, you'll want to know how to communicate these in your obviously resume and cover letter, in your application, and most importantly, in your interview. So here is some examples. Again, so an on-campus student position as an orientation leader. So this would be, I could say, learn about leadership theory and practice. Lead diverse populations through team-based activities. Communicate complex university policies to students and families. That's a really good one. Um, yeah, work in a dynamic environment, organizing events for hundreds of guests. That's a really good thing to showcase. Again, student union activities advisory board and media theater board. Demonstrate ability to solve problems that arise before and during the day of the event. That is something you will always need and always use in the professional world. Um, and the alternative spring break, ASB, by attending alternative spring break, you were able to participate in immersive week, hands-on service focusing on specific social issues. Develop leadership. That's a really big one. Employers look for relationship skills, team-based service activities. Those are all ways you can kind of showcase your on campus. All right. And how to stand out. So be yourself. Employers really like to really get to know you, showcase who you are. Um, be as responsive, reliable, and adaptable as possible. Um, speak your mind and ask questions. Um, answer calls from unknown numbers. I think we are all guilty of this, especially with the number of scam likely calls I receive. But it might be an employer. So if you're really in the search process, um, really answer any of those unknown calls or numbers you don't know. It might be an employer. Save the important for last, but record a professional voicemail and make sure that inbox is clear so that if they need to leave a message, they can. Okay. And I really like this slide, how to market yourself. So do a self evaluation. And, self evaluation is basically how you define yourself. You want your reputation, how others see you. How do you want others to see you? And what sets you apart? What's unique about you? And then how reliable are you? You be consistent in how reliable are you? That's a really good slide if anybody wants to take a picture of that one. Um, move on to personal brand, kind of goes on how to stand out, how to market yourself, but obviously, what's a brand? Expectation of an experience. Now, personal brand, again, who you are, what you stand for, the values you embrace, and how you express it. What's your reputation? I really like the bubble up here. Um, your personal brand is basically how others see you and how others see yourself, how you see yourself together. And then why you need a personal brand really helps you communicate your unique identity, and make it clear to them who you are. I like this. In fact, an overwhelming 85% of hiring managers report that a job candidate's personal brand influences their hiring decisions. So really, really, especially now, everything's been remote, everything's online. Your personal brand really needs to be showcased professionally, properly on any and all platforms you use. So again, stay genuine, be yourself. Showcase who you are, what you like to do. They like to know, your hobbies and how you spend your time when you're not in school. Again, how's like what I said earlier is, kind of everything's online and everything that happens online is public. So be aware of all your posts and all your profiles, and just make sure that if you're in that search process, some employers do look at that. So and then stay focused on your target audience. Again, online, if an employer looked at any of your social platforms or your LinkedIn, what do you want them to see? And I know each platform is unique. Um, so kind of, you know, obviously LinkedIn, make those professional ones, showcase, what's on your resume, what your experiences have been. Um, I don't know for sure if employers look at, Facebook or Instagram, but obviously I can't guarantee they won't, but so but just take advantage of the real estate you do have online to build your brand and, let people know what you do or what you're interested in. Employers really like to see that kind of personal touch on it. Okay, and then So kind of what I touched on before, what employers are really looking for. Um, if you don't know NACE, you aren't familiar with NACE, it's the National Association of Colleges and Employers. They survey employers every year and ask what they really look for in ask what they really look for in candidates. So this is the most updated one, and they actually added a few from last year. Um, so career and self development, good communication, critical thinking, equity and inclusion is a big one that's been added. Show leadership, professionalism, teamwork, and have some knowledge of technology. Um, Alyssa will um, cover this in the session at 11:45. So if you want to hear more about the NACE competencies, Alyssa is going to do a presentation on it's called Flex Your Strengths. It's going to cover all the NACE competencies more in depth. So this is actually the end of our presentation, but open to any and all questions, comments, if anybody has any.
Yeah, Amy, we have a couple questions. Hi, everybody. This is Elissa, by the way. So we have two questions in the chat, so I'm just going to go in order as how they came in. So the first one is, what are your recommendations for NSM students who are seeking an internship? And I'll go ahead and just put out my answer, and Aimee, you can take a quick break and hop in if you have anything else to add. But I think for NSM students, it can depend on what your goals are. If you're pre-med, then definitely focus in on that and look at medical focused internships and see what you can find out there. But on the flip side, if you're interested in research or lab work, being at a university is probably the best place to be if that is your goal as an NSM student, because 9 times out of 10, your professors or your adjunct professors are probably having to complete research as part of their requirements for tenure or anything like that to stay with the university teaching. So use those connections within your own classroom and reach out to them and ask them, do you have openings in your lab, or do you know any other professors that have openings in their labs? Like Aimee has touched on, networking can be really important when it comes to this. These people also likely know other people in the NSM field. So networking can definitely be a big part of it. And this goes for all the students, no matter what your major is. Using those connections can be very crucial when trying to find a position. And just another quick tip too, just seek out different opportunities. And if you see something, schedule maybe an informational interview. And an informational interview is taking 10 to 15 minutes with a recruiter or with the person that is hiring and asking them just some questions about the position. But really, the end goal of that is to kind of put yourself out there, be recognizable, and make that connection as early as possible. So when your application does come in, they're going to see your name and say, oh, I remember them because I met with them and we had a conversation. So that's kind of my general recommendations. Aimee, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Yes, I mean you touched on all the really outside things, but I also want to tell every student on the call, you have a career consultant in our office who can help you with really many things across the sun: resume, cover letter, job search, internship search. But again, I think figuring out your plan, figuring out what field you want to go into, figuring out your timeline, and if you need an internship, what's that timeline look like? For NSM, I'm not 100% sure if some majors need internships for credit or not, but um, you know, we're all here to assist you in really your whole career, obviously, your whole college journey. So whether it being you haven't even started and you need help kind of kicking this off, we're all here to help you. So our email's up there um, on the screen. If you want to send us maybe a more personal, just kind of your situation, your major, and we can also probably, contact you more in depth um, that way. Elissa and I meet with students one on one, but we also, again, have lots of people in the Career Center that can meet with students for appointments, again, for many, many things. um, so I hope that answered your question.
Awesome. So the next question is, could you give us an example of how to create a personal brand? So I have a really great example. This is the first thing I immediately thought of. And I had a classmate from high school and undergrad. We went to school together for, 8 years or so. And she runs an LLC called Caroline Inspires. And so a good idea of a personal brand is that you're consistent with your posting. Everything that you post falls under a similar theme. So, as you can tell from the title of her business, if you want to call it that, Caroline Inspires, she is very intent on inspiring and empowering people. But from her personal branding, we see that that specifically is targeted to youth of color. And every time she posts something, it's either about inspiration, motivation, encouragement, empowerment. Sometimes the pictures are when she is speaking to youth. So it helps tie in that brand that she is building to show that she is actually reaching out, connecting with youth of color in the community, and giving these presentations to them. And she uses hashtags. She has, a website. I'm seeing that. I guess she has a shirt at Abercrombie and Fitch now, which is amazing. So, like I said, it's about consistency and about, having that dedicated page, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, that is made just for that content. So if you want to keep your personal page personal, you can always create a branding page outside of that. So that way you can keep it separated. But that's kind of a very specific example. A more broad example, I would encourage you to maybe go look at some of our Olympic athletes that are competing in Tokyo this year. A lot of their branding is about their athletic ability, their sponsorships with people or with companies like Nike or Adidas. And every post is they're going to be wearing, Adidas or Nike or, whatever else athletes wear. So that's part of their personal branding as well. Aimee, anything else to add?
No, I think you covered it. I think, I know being a college student, you're not in the professional world. You don't have, a set career, set profession yet. But I think kind of Melissa touched on, but just make your personal brand what you want to do or what do you want employers to see that you want to do or, you know, kind of showcase your goals in life or, like she touched on with the motivational quotes or, things like that. Um, I'd say that, really makes personal brand stand out.
Yeah, thanks for that. And just another idea off the top of my head as well. A really great way to learn how to build a personal brand is to actually go and look at, um, you know, famous people, athletes, even these social media influencers that are constantly on the coming up of just social media. So Just kind of take a look at what consistency looks like for them and see how that you can mimic that in your own branding. Creating a website for yourself too can also be beneficial. There's lots of free tools like Wix or um, I'm blanking on the other one, WordPress. There it is. So you could do that as well and have maybe a portfolio of your work on there. For my artists in the crowd, that's another good way for you to showcase your art is to have a dedicated website to that and what inspires you. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. We only have about 8 minutes left, but keep the questions coming. These are great. So the next question is, what types of questions could be asked to a recruiter in an informational interview? So that's a great question. I think one of the best questions you can ask would be these introductory questions. And when I say that, I mean asking, what is the culture of your company? What specifically does this area do, or what are they involved with, depending on the job posting that you're looking at, of course, because the point of an informational interview is to learn more about the position, and just kind of figure out, is this a good fit for you, and is the company a good fit for you? Because like it or not, sometimes we'll get weird vibes in an interview. So maybe it's best to only have weird vibes for 15 minutes instead of an hour-long interview, if that makes sense. So it's better to find out earlier and quickly than just get an interview and feel like you wasted your time. So just ask those intentional questions and be as transparent as possible as well on top of that. And hopefully that they'll be transparent with you as well. Maybe ask about, are there any current struggles that this area is experiencing? That'll kind of tell you a lot about the company or the team that you're applying to. If they say that everything is fine and dandy, that may not be a good sign. It's better if they acknowledge their faults and share kind of what challenges they're experiencing, because then you kind of know what you're getting into. But if they are just like, oh no, it's great, we don't really deal with anything, that's probably not the truth. So just kind of digging in a little bit, just in a general sense for questions. And of course, you can look online as well and look up, how to have an informational interview. There's tons of resources out there as well that'll tell you more about maybe more specific questions than what I can provide you right now off the top of my head.
I also want to add, I think, if you don't know already, we actually covered a presentation on informational interviewing. I believe it should be on our YouTube page, but um, and you don't necessarily have to ask for an informational interview while you're in the internship search process, or while it may not be the specific company you're looking at applying to. Um, you can do it anytime, really. Um, it's maybe kind of one of those things where I want to reach out to this company and see if this is even the kind of place I want to work at, like just in the future, or is this the type of position that my major will get me into, or I think also I've heard a lot from my like first gen students and LGBTQ students, um, asking about how they got to where they're at, how diverse is this company, you know, how do they prioritize mental health and things like that. I think those type of questions are a lot more common now, and as I should be. Um, but I think um, just to piggyback off what Alyssa said, really, informational interviewing anytime in really your academic career, your professional career, um, anytime is good time. Like I said, if you see a position or see a posting or see a company or meet somebody and say, "Oh, that really sounds interesting." Like, I wanna know more. In that presentation on our YouTube page, we show some examples on how to even ask for an informational interview, um, what to say, how to send the proper email, because again, it's not really an interview, it's not a job interview, it's solely informational interview. You're just there to gain some information on the culture, the company, the role, um, things of that nature. Are there any more, Alyssa?
Yeah, there's one more that just came in, but before I get to it, just so everybody has it, this is the link to the keynote address that starts at 11. And so for the next question, what were some things you did while seeking internships that you found successful or that you would do differently? Um, Aimee, I don't know if you ever had an internship. Um, I had one, so I can kind of speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. I haven't had one.
So, huh? Um, uh,
No, go ahead, go
so
ahead.
okay, so connections, right? We're still kind of virtual, so it's like you never know if you can hear somebody properly. Okay, so yeah, I had an internship in grad school, and I pretty much got that internship through my connections. Um, I don't know, maybe it's a little biased, but it kind of that's kind of how it works sometimes, you know. But so I went to the University of Oklahoma, and there's this conference called the National Conference on Race and Ethnicity that's run out of the university, and my boyfriend at the time worked for them. He's now my husband, and he works at UTD also. If you're curious, but um, I kind of used that connection to get my foot in the door. I said, "Hey, I know Jerry, and he said that working for you all was a really great experience, and this is something that I'm interested in, and." I'd love to talk to you all about an opportunity to possibly work part-time there or have an internship there. And this was a part of my degree requirement. It was either doing an internship or writing a thesis. So I went for the internship option, and it worked out. It was great. I met with them. I kind of had an interview with them and brought my resume and some examples of some of my work so far in my graduate studies. And that's kind of that's an example of how I used my connections to get an internship. Um, if I did anything differently, I might have tried to uh, maybe seek out multiple opportunities at the same time, but I was pretty dead set on what I wanted to do. I really did want to work for this conference, and I'm thankful that it did work out. But that's a lesson for you all to not be like me and put all your eggs in one basket, even though sometimes it does work out. Most of the time, it does not. So, especially in the current job market, um, it's very competitive. It's very competitive, especially in the STEM field. And sometimes for other students that are in arts or humanities or education, the opportunities are not necessarily as competitive, but they're fewer. So just seek out every opportunity possible is my best piece of advice.
I like that. I know we only have a few more minutes, but I wanted to add, I haven't, like, personally done an internship, but, um, I can think of one example. One of the students who helps us with a lot of our he's alumni now. One of our, um most of our presentation, he hops on and, participates. He's he's explained that he didn't, not blindly, but, apply to a bunch of internships that he really didn't qualify for, or he really didn't, necessarily wasn't too excited for. Um, like Alyssa said, it applied to, quite a few. but make sure they're ones that, if you got it, you would be happy and that would be a great fit. And, um, I know the students that are required to get an internship, I know it's, like she said, competitive and things like that. But I think if you start early, take your time, um, you'll have time to really narrow it down and, um, get the best fit for you. So I think that's one that, I've heard. But Alyssa, do you have anything else to add before I close out?
No, I'm good. Definitely close us out.
Okay. Okay, guys. Well, Alyssa posted the keynote link, so please join us there and for the rest of the sessions later today at 11:45. Um, thank you so much for your patience in my getting over my cold. Um, I really appreciate all the questions and participation, and we are so glad you all joined us today. We'll see you in the keynote.